put it on my leg like that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, I can hear me. Sweet. Okay, yeah. Ooh. Back when I was, like 10, 11, my dad used to do, he still does do it, I guess, does reenactments, right, like Napoleonic ones. So he dresses up and like gets all the black powder guns and goes and does like reenactments of battles. But like, I would want to go along, right, because I'm like, I love these cool battles and whatnot, that's so sick. And I'd be like, I want to come. But of course I can't hold like those guns, that things or whatever. So I would have to do like the drumming, be the drummer boy, which of course it's what got me into drumming, so I drum now. Marching around with all these old guys who are like shooting guns and like having sword fights. I wasn't allowed Nerf guns as a kid at all. Couldn't have Nerf guns, couldn't play Call of Duty, none of that, which of course just makes me want to have them more than kids who have them, like, because I feel like once you get Nerf guns you get bored of them quite quick. But of course not having them from the ages like all the way up to like 16, 17 made me just want to have them more. So of course I'm playing Call of Duty at like 12 or something, like Black Ops 2 or whatever, just sneaking down in the mornings and playing that. That was always quite fun. Come down at like 6 a.m. and just play Call of Duty for 2 hours before my parents wake up. And then I would go to my friends' houses and use their Nerf guns and everything. I always thought it was so cool. And then of course, what was this, like probably around like 2019, 2020, that Airsoft guy, Silo and Novrich, the YouTubers, they started coming through with their like content, and like they started blowing up with the sniper stuff. Like, everyone's watching them, everyone's talking about them, and I was like, I really want to try this. Like, I've played paintball before, I enjoyed paintball. Like, it's the same thing, but just like with cooler looking stuff. Of course, like, I don't want to, like, I would never want to go to war. I don't want to be a part of any wars, but like, it's still fun, like dressing up and whatnot, which I've got from doing the reenactment. I am not. I think at the time, because I'm playing at 6 a.m. and whatnot, I don't have a microphone, I can't have any volume. Like, I was definitely rubbish. I was definitely getting yelled at by other people, but I just couldn't hear them. So, but now that I'm older and I've played games with the microphones on, like, I've realised it's definitely not a good place. But I think like the games I play now are less like Call of Duty centered and more like historical battles, World of Tanks and War Thunder. Like, it's not first person shooters, and that's from like, I guess I've enjoyed those so much because of like the military history side in the family. You know, you play a tank and then you find out the different upgrades, and then you read about the upgrades, you're like, oh, they got this upgrade in this time period, and it's like, oh, that's quite cool, that's quite interesting to know, like a little fact. Well, my friends were definitely playing Call of Duty before me, so they definitely got me into the airsoft side of things. But since the first lockdown, I never see them anymore. They don't really talk to me or whatever. But when the subject of airsoft comes up, suddenly they all want to go out and do things. And for me, that's like a way to connect with my friends, because it's something they want to do with me. So for me to go, hey, do you want to go out this weekend and play a game of airsoft? And they're like, yeah, let's go, let's meet. I'm like, I'm down, do you know what I mean? It's like when they're inviting me to go out and do drugs and drink, I'm like, I don't really fancy it. So I guess it's like a way to connect with friends. And I've made a lot of friends as well. Every time I go to play airsoft, I make another 5-6 friends. I think the people there are really normal. Like, they're just like you and me, and they just go there to run around. they don't want to replicate any kind of military action or want to shoot other people with the guns because they enjoy it. It's more just like it's like going for a run, except there's other things on your mind. It's like an intense exercise. It's crazy. And the thing is, you don't even think about what you're doing when you're doing it. You're just like everything is just happening so quickly, and you're just running around and just enjoying yourself. And like most of the time you'll spend like hidden behind a barricade and talking to your friend, and then running around and you know, spudding and high-fiving. It's just nice. It's like a nice community to be in. And when you're in the waiting area, like, or at lunch, I feel like most of the guys they're just like, it's just their day off and they've just come to do something. They tend to range, it's a big range of ages. I think most of them are like 18 to 30. And they just like, it's just something to do. I think you definitely appreciate how difficult it is to do anything outside. Like when you're sweating so much and like you're wearing so much and you're just there like in the dirt or like moving through trees, and you're like, you know what, I actually really appreciate like I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, you know, when you're digging in you're on the beach, right, and you're digging a hole on the beach, you're like, you know what, like I appreciate, like, it's just like you're in the mud and you're like, you know what, this is like, this feels natural. It shouldn't, but it does. It's like going for it, like, you know, when you go running and it's outdoors, you're like, I feel like I'm a caveman again. I feel like I'm doing something that I should be doing as a human, but of course I shouldn't be holding the guns and whatnot. It's that idea of, it's a like reason to get
back to like some kind of hunter-gatherer-esque moment of
feeling,
yeah.
And it's better than sitting at home and playing a video game. Like, I'm getting outside, I'm getting fit, I'm making friends. I'm shooting guns, but they're shooting at me. You know, it's like, it's you or them. And at the end of the day, everyone shakes hands and spuds. And just like when it's at lunchtime, no one remembers the team. Suddenly it just becomes like a big chat. I enjoy it here. I enjoy living in this area. I think it's quite small. It's quite a small area. Everyone knows faces. It's not like you know, like everyone's seen everyone else at some point. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'd want to move. I quite like it here as a place. I think I could stay here a few more years for sure. Growing up was nice. I played a lot of Lego. I think that's definitely played into the whole technical side of it, definitely. As you get older, like Lego it doesn't become enjoyable, it becomes
nostalgic.
Nostalgic and therapeutic.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I wouldn't say taking apart like weapons and putting them back together again, it's therapeutic, it's not. But it's like, it's fun.
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean? Like, it actually challenges your brain, like, because you get something wrong, you're like, what have I done? And then you take it back apart and you're like, I want to put that back together again. It challenges you to get it right. And that's what Lego used to do as a child. Like, I'd be like, I put that piece wrong. But now it's because it's such an easy thing to do, it's just now therapeutic more than challenging. So I feel like definitely the gun side of things, I mean, it's not even guns, like I put that chair together. It's stuff like that, just anything. Growing up here, you're right, it's very communal. Like, I used to play football with everybody in the area. We'd all come together and play football at the park when I was smaller. From ages, like, there were like probably 18-year-olds there when I'm like 8. and it does feel, you feel very at home, but I feel like somewhere like when I go up to Lewisham, I feel very lost. Even though I know where I'm going, I feel quite intimidated and lost. Not necessarily because of the area, but just because, like, it's something about, it's almost like being homesick. Like, it just looks so different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of weird. You go like 5 minutes in any direction, and suddenly it's so different. So that's definitely had an impact. Like, one thing that I think is noticeable is when people, if I go to a party, I go to quite a lot of parties outside of London, and people say to me, like, where are you from? I don't tell them Blackheath or Kidbrooke, which is kind of where I'm sitting, right? It's exactly on that border. But, like, I'll tell them, like, Lewisham, because they know Lewisham or Greenwich or Lee. Do you know what I mean? Because they don't know Blackheath or Kidbrooke. But it's interesting how, like, someone from Lewisham would be so different from me. But I can claim, I could claim to be from Lee. I'm close enough, essentially. I remember up till I was like 5 or 6. I have like a couple memories of the Ferrier estate, like built intact. I remember the basketball court with the little goals on either side, and I remember the dentist, and you had to go like up a building and then through a walkway between the buildings. That was so weird. And then like up a ramp to the dentist. That was like on like the 10th floor of some random flat. And then past that point, all I remember really is like, the thing is, you don't even see the wasteland. You just see the wooden board. So most of my memory of this area is just wooden boards, really. There's no view to anything. It's just like random passageways and like wooden fences for like. I made like a Ukraine awareness poster.
Yeah.
And I put it up on the wall, and then some teacher yelled at me for it being too political. Yeah. And I'm like, it just says stop war, and it's just like a picture of a soldier.
Yeah.
Definitely has.
Yeah.
I mean, uniforms stricter now. I guess like they used to be able to have mobile phones out anywhere in the school unless it's in class, right? Up until like 3 years ago, when they were like no more phones. And it's not a bad thing, but I feel like it's just taking away this idea of freedom. You get out of class at break, you're like, I want to go, like a lot of the younger kids especially are like, I want to go on my phone. And they're just like, no, if you're on your phone you get taken. It's definitely been restricted. I wouldn't say it's like hard, but it's like, if I wanted to make a statement on testicular cancer, I wouldn't be allowed. But if someone wanted to make a statement on like a more mainstream subject, like sexism or something, like that, they would like put all their resources into it, all their money into it. This kind of I find it kind of like, there was a speech done recently on someone, like, we have these like little seminars, is that what they're called? Like a lecture. It's like a lecture, like once a week, right? And I wanted to do one on like, I don't even know the word for it, like circumcisions, I guess.
Yeah.
And on like the idea that like whether it's right or whether it's wrong, because there's not really any, like, you can do it, like there's no right or wrong to it, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like it, like I don't know, I thought it'd bring up a good discussion,
Yeah.
like especially with this whole idea of, it's like you said, it's a religious thing, right?
Yeah.
But then people say like, but there's no consensual action to that.
Yeah.
You're like taking away someone's
Yeah.
part of their body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
and it's just I feel like it's something that should be addressed more than it is. And there's also the medical stuff to it. It's like if you get a circumcision, there's less medical issues that can happen, but then you lose most of the sense in that area. I mean, so it's like there's so many pros and cons, and I feel like it's something that needs to be spoken about. But they shut it down. They were like, no, like we're not going to talk about it. It's inappropriate. And I feel like it would be better to let the students do stuff, which I guess is kind of what they might have done with the old school, even student freedom. Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's probably the best way someone can manipulate a group of people is through the internet. Like Elon Musk is trying to buy Twitter now or something, and then he controls all the social media platforms. Like, who's to say everything on there is fake from that point on? What if it's all just stuff Elon Musk wants you to believe? I'm not saying that's true. Of course, that sounds like that's crazy, me saying that. It's nuts, but like, it's possible. I mean, like, you could be a robot. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like, everything is so twisted nowadays with this whole like since AI and since the internet, like everything like can just be not believed or believed.
Yeah.
Like that's true. Like, to think about the people you meet on the internet, and there's always that thing where it's like they could be anyone until you meet them, but then of course meeting them is risky in the first place if you don't know who they are. Bro, not even catfishing. Like, you could get kidnapped doing that. Someone could so easily just pretend to be someone they're not, and it's kind of like, I feel like that I mean that has definitely impacted that idea of catfishing and pretending to be other people has definitely impacted the friends I have, I think, as well. For example, my friend has called me now. I met her through the internet, right? But now we're like best friends, and I see her quite a lot. But it's to think that, like you said, that could, I don't know now. Used to say like someone hasn't put her up to that task, or said like, I bet you can't be friends with this person. Do you know what I mean? And then she's like, I don't know them personally, and I feel like that idea of manipulation is definitely in a lot of other things too, like the internet, right? A good example is linking back to the airsoft stuff. The guys who I used to watch with my mates, like Silo and Novrich and Kicking Mustang, they all use sniper rifles. You have no fun. It's not fun at all. It's boring. It's a lot of sitting around doing nothing. It's very tactical, which I guess is a fun aspect, but like at the same time, you want to run about. Do you know what I mean? You want to get sweaty. You want to have fun, and it's just not effective. But like what they're doing is a very like military. It become part of the nature, and like I don't know how to. They want a real experience, which I guess is not what most people go for when they go to one of those airsoft games. They just go for a run around. COVID has impacted everything a lot.
Okay.
Like, as part of my childhood, like, I don't think much is going to be the same. I'm quite socially awkward now compared to how I was before. Before COVID, I was quite shouty, like jump around, run, scream, and now I'm very, like, if I'm out with people, I don't talk much. And then also, like, I don't know, like, I think another aspect of it is those 2 years of COVID where I've sat on like a screen with my friends and spoken to them over the phone, and they feel like they can just say anything to you with no consequence. Do you know what I mean? Like they would, like stuff they would never say to you in person, they would say to you over the internet to them, and they're like, oh bro, you're so shit, like you're rubbish, or like, do you know what I mean? And that makes you feel very, like makes you, like you just feel like you don't want to say anything anymore. You don't want to talk. And I feel like that kind of impacts the way I've spoken to, like since then, talking to those same people who said those things to me, or did say those things to me. I'm not as talkative, I don't say as much. And then, as a result of that, I see them less because they're like, I don't want to invite this guy out because he doesn't talk. And then, like having a common interest like airsoft is a way to meet them again, talk to them, have like proper conversations without the pressure of feeling isolated, if that makes sense. Like if someone like if you send someone a text message like, hey, how are you, and they just say good, like you can't tell if that's them going like, yeah, I'm good, or like if that's them going good, but I don't want to talk to you kind of thing. And it's like that idea of, I guess the way one person interprets something online is different to how another person will, which is the reason for like emojis. But even those like can mean multiple things to different people. But online it's like, I feel this, like if I want them to come back and buy from me again, I need to be nice to them. And I feel like other people are opposite, like they're just mean because they can't be mean in person. Like people who are like people who don't have the right, for example, like someone who doesn't have a big enough physique to be mean, someone in person might be mean online because they can hide behind the screen. I feel like kids are a lot more reliant on drugs nowadays as well, especially. Just easier to get, and like the internet exposes younger kids to things they shouldn't see until they're older, if that makes sense. Like someone could, like a 10-year-old kid could go online on Twitter and see a beheading. Do you know what I mean? And then like my little brother walked in on us watching Saving Private Ryan, the first, like the opening scene. He was not fazed. When I first watched that, I thought it was disgusting. I was like, what is going on? But he just walked in, he just looked at it like, this is normal. And I feel like that's really, that could be like another reason for smaller kids thinking they're hard and whatnot. You see these like year 7s walking around like, yeah man, like what are you gonna do, what are you gonna do? Because I don't think they realise the impact the internet is having on their behaviour and their life in general. Like definitely, I'm definitely upset that they don't talk to me as much, and it like now it's just awkward being around them. I think I spend most, like I would say my best friend is probably my girlfriend at the moment. I spend all my time with her. And like I think the reason they do so many of these substances is like because, you know, you're taught in primary school this is bad, don't do this, and then you go on your phone and there'll be someone doing it like, oh, this is so fun, like, I'm enjoying this so much, and that's addictive too, because if you're, you know, if that's your only way. I mean, I would say a fun way for me to escape would be painting. I can just sit there, I don't have to think about anything at all. There's nothing to think about, I just sit and just do what looks cool. There's no thought about it, I'm just painting what I think looks cool to me. It's the same thing with playing airsoft. It's like when you're playing, you're not thinking like, you know, you're not thinking, oh my god, what happens if I don't hand in my homework tomorrow? You're just there thinking like, oh, this is fun, like I'm outside. You're not like, it's just your kind of body takes over. There's the other side of you. Like the other, like, I don't know if like if I play a game of football, I tend to not remember the game of football. I just know I played that game of football. And I'm always at the end, I'm like, what was the score? And they're like, you played in goal, like how do you not know the score? And I'm like, I don't know, like I wasn't really thinking about the score at the time. I'm just thinking, like, you kind of turn into an animal. Like how a dog would just see a ball and be like, oh, ball, I need to chase and bite the ball. Like I need to run and hide with my gun, or I need to jump and stop that ball from going in here. It just like your body kind of simplifies.
Yeah.
If you're at your lowest point, it can only get better. So don't stop trying. I wouldn't say I'm alone. I mean, I like to do things that most people don't. And that kind of makes you feel like an outcast, but it's good because other people do it. Like when I say to my friends, I play airsoft or I paint Lego, or you know, if I said to you I play football, you're like, oh cool, you play football. Like I play football too. My next door neighbour plays football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, especially the people you associate with. My dad says it's not what you know, it's the people you know. I would say I think that's one of the most important things to do.